50% in the preferences among the population. So it would be really, really weird if he doesn't win. However, I don't think he will win with a large margin of majority that a lot of polls are expecting or are showing now.
Clearly, corruption and the economy, which he says he will fight, are big things and deciding points for the electorate. What do you think are the other main issues that really concern people living in Mexico?
So it's, I will say that it's security, the main issue that is concerning the population, but also the lack of social mobility. So a lot of people are used to live, the country is heavily unequal. However, the lack of social mobility actually make a lot of people despair about what will be the future for them. And it's a general sentiment of being fed up with the current situation of the country, not only about political corruption, as you mentioned, and the economy, but also security. It's, I think, one of the main concerns.
We're just keeping looking at the pictures now live from Mexico City. But while we're doing so, just talk to us about what Greg Milam, our correspondent, was talking about in his report, that there has been a lot of fraudulent activity. Can you tell us a bit more detail about that and how it's manifested itself?
Yes, I mean, acts of electoral corruption have been present in the last elections. As I mentioned before, the country just transitioned to democracy in the year 2000. However, in every single federal election, we have been receiving claims that the election have been corrupted and there is a lot of vote buying. So who is buying the votes is something that is contended, as reports are now so widespread that it's very likely that it's all the main parties that are engaging in this type of practices, and not only the PRI, which is the governing party at the moment, even though, as I mentioned, it's not a new thing. But how it will really damage outcome, we will see, because if López Obrador is the winner, it's very unlikely that he will, as he did in previous elections, will claim that the elections were so fraudulent that that he will try to impugn them.
OK, Dr. Sofia Collignon-Delmar, thank you ever so much for your expertise and your time this afternoon.
Thank you very much and have a good day.
Well, let's return now to our coverage of Chris Froome and the reports that the four-time Tour de France champion has been barred from this year's race by organisers. However, Team Sky says they are confident that Froome will take part in the race, as they know he's not done anything wrong. Well, I'm joined now to discuss this from Lewes in Sussex by the clinical psychologist at Canterbury Christ Church University, Dr. John McGowan. Very good afternoon to you. Organisers have said that this decision has been made to protect the race's image. Is it the right decision?
Personally, I don't think so. I'm struggling to get too excited about it. Having said that, ASO, the organisation who run the Tour de France, who incidentally are by far the biggest commercial player in world cycling, they can disinvite people, including really very big names, and they have done it before, not for a while, but they've done it before. And their concern is, reputational damage to the race, to the sport. So they're within their rights to at least try and disinvite him, basically.
Surely, though, you're innocent until proven guilty, and in Chris Froome's case, the decision has not been made yet.
The decision hasn't been made, and he has every right to race. I mean, this has been rumbling for months, since he won the Tour of Spain, the Vuelta a España last year, and was found with an excessive level of salbutamol asthma medication in his urine. And it's a kind of mid-level serious offence. He's unlikely to be stripped of anything that he's won subsequently. If he's found guilty, he could be stripped of that Tour of Spain title and handed a short ban. And usually these things are confidential. Usually you have the right to defend yourself. You have to prove that you're innocent, actually. You really give them serious grounds to think that you're innocent, because he is over a line. But normally these things are supposed to be confidential. The problem that Froome has got is that it's been leaked. And thus now for a number of months, this possibility of him being asked not to go to the Tour de France, which in cycling terms is huge, because he's about to race to try and win a 5th Tour de France, which is to tie the record with some of the greats of the sport. And legally, he has the right to race. We thought a few weeks ago that the Tour might try and stop him, and then all that seemed to go off the boil. But it's a week to go before they start, and they've decided that they're going to try.
Well, exactly. And as you say, you know, he's won the Tour de France, 4 times now. He's an incredible cyclist. What impact will this have on the race if he doesn't compete?
Well, I mean, in sporting terms, it opens up the race. He's the dominant rider with the dominant team. He's won another big race, the Tour of Italy this year, so it's a moot point if he's tired out or not. But usually he and his team manage these things quite well. Well, I think also they would cry foul. I mean, Team Sky, his team will clearly cry foul and try and contest this. Whether they've really got the grounds to or not, I don't know. As I say, ASO, who organise the Tour de France, are seriously big players in global sport, and they have the resources to, you know, back up this decision. So even a team as powerful as Froome's team may not necessarily be able to question it. And I say they have successfully indicated in the past that they didn't. There was a rider called Tom Bonin in 2008 or 9, I can't remember which, who had a cocaine positive, and they indicated that they didn't want him to go to the race. Having said that, he didn't particularly want to ride the race, so they were prepared to go even with quite big names. They were prepared to go up against quite big names and quite big teams. I mean, there's a lot going on at the moment. People saying that, you know, Froome shouldn't race. He should have stepped out. He should have, you know, he should not be asserting his right to race. Oh, there's so many different opinions on that. My own view, I think he's an athlete. He's still at the top. He's in his 30s. He probably doesn't have that long to go. At quite that level, I think it's a big ask actually to say to somebody, well, don't race even though you're allowed. Just don't. It's been leaked. It's not your fault, but don't race. I think that's a hard ask, I think.
OK, Dr. John McGowan, thank you for your time. Appreciate your thoughts.
Thanks very much indeed. Thank you.
Authorities in Thailand say their country is becoming the new dumping ground for the world's illegal electronic waste. Police officers say shipments have been flowing into Thailand since January, when China banned so-called e-waste imports. Our Southeast Asia correspondent Siobhan Robbins sent this report.
In the countryside outside Bangkok, these officers are searching for smugglers. The piles of rubbish here are illegally imported electronic waste. In this bag, they find bits of old monitors, junk shipped in from 35 countries, including the UK. And the task facing police is huge. This site is just one of many. Mountains of our unwanted gadgets are now pouring into Thailand.
Every country all over the world, they try to dump the waste of the hazardous waste to Thailand. That's in this problem. Thai people not want to be like